Hi everybody, it's Kaylee, and today we are going to be doing a what sold from last week video. On today's video, I will be sharing with you the thrifted items that sold on platforms like eBay and Poshmark, showing you some items that you can pick up in your local area and flip online for profit. I will also share with you my sales and do a breakdown of how much sold on each platform and how much I spent on the items. Let's jump into last week's sales.
All right, guys, so all of these sales are going to be everything that's sold on all the platforms, which this week are only eBay and Poshmark, from December 13th through December 19th. That is a Sunday through a Saturday. That is how I calculate my weeks, and that's also how most of the platforms determine their weeks as well. So in total, I sold 49 items for a gross sales total of $1,814.71. My average sale price was $37.03. And then my total cost of goods for everything that sold last week was $260.30. This was a little bit more of a slower sales week than I expected, but nonetheless, still really great profits. All right, so between the two platforms, I sold 29 items on eBay and 20 on Poshmark. Poshmark really came through this week. I think it's because we moved a lot of items on over to Poshmark, so it gave us a little bit of boost on that platform. On eBay, I sold just over $1,000, and on Poshmark, I sold just over $760. So they were pretty neck and neck. eBay just being a little bit over. And like I said, I'm really happy with those numbers considering everything that's going on in the world right now. So we're going to jump on over. I'm going to show you some highlighted sales. I'm going to try to keep it short and sweet. I try to pick only the best of the best items or ones that sell very, very quickly that you could come across pretty often. So starting on eBay, I sold this Starter Classic Men's NFL Cowboys Vintage Jacket. Starter, I'll show you the tag, is a great brand to look for in vintage pieces, particularly in Team NFL stuff. So Cowboys is a really popular team that people are looking for apparel for. And when I did comps on this, I saw that some of the vintage jackets were doing extremely well. I picked this one up because it was vintage and it was in great condition. The brand was good, the team was good, and overall the color blocking I think really helped to sell this. Color blocking is definitely a feature that adds value. So I wasn't quite sure what this would sell for, so I listed high and was accepting offers. I listed at $99.99 or best offer, and I got an offer for $69.99, which I accepted. I was feeling pretty generous that day, and I just wanted to move items quickly, so I accepted an offer of roughly $70. A Lilly Pulitzer cashmere cardigan. Lilly Pulitzer is a brand that I highly recommend you pick up. They're more well known for their colorful prints, which is typically what I pick up for them. But since it was a good brand paired with a good material, being 100% cashmere, and it was cable knit, I knew that this was going to be a good sell. Now I did notice this hole while I was at the thrift store. It was along the seam, so I think it is repairable, but I am not a good enough seamstress to do something like that. I decided to go ahead and pick it up anyways because even with that small hole, which I did think was repairable, it was a really, really great item. And had this not had the hole, I probably would have sold it for closer to $70 or $80. But because of the hole, I went ahead and listed it low, knowing I was still going to get a good profit. So I have this listed for $44.99. I sent out offers to watchers, and it ended up selling for $40.49. This is just a bread and butter piece, but I wanted to show it because common items like this can sell very quickly. So even though you might not be getting a huge profit for it, they do add up over time. And again, you can come across them pretty often. So this is a pair of Nike men's fleece sweatpants, fleece meaning the inside has the fleece. And I always look for a pretty obvious branding, whether that's a spell out or the Nike check. It just needs to be, in my opinion, pretty obvious. If it was black on black logo, I don't think it's as desirable as something like this, where the spell out or the branding really stands out on these athletic brands. So this one I had listed for $24.99 and it did sell at my full asking price. Zara is a brand I like to pick up in unique pieces. This is a gold metallic-y, which I find adds value to a lot of things. The kind of shiny metallic materials seem to do pretty well, especially during this time of the year where we've got the holidays, and then in particular New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. People like wearing golds and silvers, so I picked that up with that in mind. This is just a pleated dress, and I thought it was really pretty. With Zara, I'm always able to look up the style number on the inside as well, so it makes it really easy to figure out what to sell the item for. Zara Woman, like this tag says here, is a line off of Zara, and from my research tends to bring a higher value than some of the other lines within Zara. So definitely keep your eye out for Zara Woman if it is a good piece. This one I had listed for $34.99 and it did end up selling at my full asking price. Along that same line is this ASOS dress. This is a sequin silver dress, and you can even see I put New Year's Eve and holiday in my title to try and get the right buyer. This was new with tags from DFW. I don't pick up ASOS very often, but when I do, they're usually more unique pieces and harder to find. And if you look up ASOS sequin dresses, you'll see very quickly that they have a good sell-through rate, and that's why it's really important to do specific comps before you pick up an item. So even though ASOS as a brand does not do very well for me, certain pieces do, and this is one of those pieces. I had this listed for $39.99 and it sold on an offer for $35.99. I sold the Soft Surroundings women's Mixteca embroidered top. Mixteca was the style name that I was able to find using a quick Google search and looking up the style number on the inside tag. Now I already knew that this was going to do well because of the multicolor embroidery. Bohemian stuff is still doing really well. Plus this was a good brand in a tunic length, which is also a really good key factor right now. Had this one listed for $29.87 and it sold at my full asking price. I sold a few North Face pieces this past week. You'll see another one here in just a moment. This one is a women's transit down jacket. I was able to figure that out by looking up the style number on the inside as well. And I think particularly with the brand The North Face, that is really important that you look up the style name, because you could be giving an item away for something that you could get hundreds of dollars for. And I found that to be the case with this brand. So certain pieces are really desirable. The women's parkas, meaning the longer length, do very, very well. This one also was filled with down, which always adds value in my opinion. It was also hooded and it had a lot of ribbing detail. I always make sure to show the logo. I have this one listed for $74.99 and it sold pretty quickly at my full asking price. And I did actually pay up for this jacket. I paid $19.99 for this, knowing that it was going to sell very quickly and for a high return. Here is another North Face jacket, and like we mentioned before, it's important to know which style it is, because some can sell for closer to $100 and some can sell for only $25 or $30, like this piece. So this is a women's Denali fleece jacket. I immediately know the style because it's one of their most popular. It's when the fleece mixes with this, I don't know if it's nylon or polyester material, but it's pretty easy to spot. These are not doing as good as they used to. I can usually only get about $25 for them. If I've got a more rare color or I've got a larger size in the women's jackets, they do still sell, just not for as much as they used to. So this was a pink on pink one. I had it listed for $29.99 and it did end up selling at my full asking price. This is another item I paid up for. I paid $12.99 for this jacket, again knowing that it would probably flip pretty quickly and for a good return. So I'm always willing to pay up for an item if I know I'm going to get my money back quickly and I'm going to get a high profit. So this is a Ralph Lauren jacket. I always have great luck with some of their more unique pieces, and this one was paired with a really great material. It was goat leather. Really excellent condition too. This one I listed high at $95.87 and it did sell at my full asking price. All right, we've been talking a lot about novelty print sweaters in mall brands and how you should pick them up. We've been talking about it a lot during What Sold videos and also within some of my hauls. This is a great example of why you don't want to pass on an item like this. So this is just the brand Old Navy, which I think we could agree most of us would probably pass on. But I actually paid $2.99 for this sweater, and I picked it up because of the novelty print, which is super easy to look up. So when I did comps before I decided to buy it, I just looked up Old Navy Fox sweater, and I quickly saw that they had a good sell-through rate and they were selling for good money. So this one I had listed at $34.97, and it ended up selling on an offers to watchers for $31.47, and it did sell very quickly. So keep your eye out for novelty print sweaters, not just in Old Navy, but Ann Taylor Loft, Banana Republic, J. Crew, those different mall brands. Even though you might not normally pick them up, if they've got a novelty print, do a quick search because it might be worth more money than you think. And last item on eBay before we jump on over to Poshmark, I sold this LL Bean men's 100% lamb's wool pullover. And so this is a really great brand known for their quality, and they usually sell outdoorsy pieces, but paired with the great material is why I picked it up. So this was 100% lamb wool, plus it was new without tags. As you can see, it didn't have the tag, but it did have the extra button still attached, so I listed it as new without tags. This one also sold very quickly at my full asking price for $39.99. Moving on over to Poshmark, I said that I don't really like selling Disney pieces recently, but since I've said that, I've actually found two really unique, rare pieces by Disney that have sold very quickly, so maybe I'm going to have to eat my words on that, but I'm very, very selective, and they usually need to be really, really rare pieces. This is a Disney Quest vintage sweatshirt, and if you look up Disney Quest sweatshirt on eBay, you're not going to see anything. So I certainly did not see this particular one, so I kind of had to make up the price and just accept offers. So a buyer and I settled at $85 for the sweatshirt. And I don't know if Disney Quest was just like a temporary line. I'd imagine it was, since everything Disney Quest wise that I saw was going for a lot of money and had a good sell-through rate. So keep your eye out for Disney Quest pieces. This one sold very, very quickly. This is a Bay Island, which brand doesn't matter to me, Beyonce tour t-shirt. I really like picking up tour t-shirts, but I always make sure to do a comp and see what these items are selling for. So I noticed that although some of these had sold for a lower price, I was one of the only ones with this shirt. So I listed mine a little bit higher, and a buyer purchased this for $27. Here is another North Face piece. So this is another puffer jacket. This is a men's jacket, and I was able to figure out that it was called the Mountain Jacket. Now, this one is not down-filled. It's just filled with polyester, which I almost did not pick this up for that reason. It was also a little bit, not dingy, but you could tell it had some fading on the graphics, and you'll see I put that in the condition here. And so I almost passed on it for those reasons, that the graphic was fading and I could just tell it was an older item. But because I did my research in the thrift store and I looked up the specific style name, I figured out that these are no longer sold to my knowledge, not this particular one, and so it was a more rare item, even though it was just filled with polyester. So this ended up selling very quickly at $75 for this older North Face item. This is another low profit item, however, it did flip pretty quickly, and this is another item you might come across pretty frequently in your thrift store, and it is a pair of men's Guess jeans. Now, I don't normally pick up Guess jeans in men's or women's, but these ones had the style name on the inside, which made it easier to look this item up. And I found that the men's Rancho jeans did sell pretty quickly. They had a good sell-through rate, and they sold for about $25, which is what I listed this one for. This is an Anthropology top by the brand Meadow Rue, and it was a velvety top with some chiffon kind of puff sleeves. The styles seem to be doing pretty well. Again, I looked up the style number to get this photo, and it sold pretty quickly at $30. This is a men's sweater by Orvis. It had cable knit detail. It was 100% merino wool, and it had a shawl collar. This brand is very good in wool pieces, so I almost always pick them up when they're in good condition. This one ended up selling for $36. This is a Mario Kaldi men's cashmere sweater, and I didn't know much about this brand, but I came across quite a few pieces at one thrift store by this brand, and I picked it up because it felt very high quality. It said it was made in Italy, and it was cashmere. And 100% cashmere pieces, regardless of brand, are doing really well for me right now. But I did notice that this brand was bringing a higher profit, so I snatched up all of those that didn't have holes, and they've slowly been selling. So this one in particular sold for $60. And I think it sold so quickly because it was a really nice color. This is a brand you should definitely be on the lookout for in jackets. The brand is Carhartt, and up until this year, I don't think it brought as much profit as it's bringing now, but it has become extremely trendy over the last year. A lot of people are wearing the beanie hats, and a lot of people are picking up these canvas jackets. So this is a men's canvas jacket, and I think this sold for so much because of the unique collar. This sold for $67 and pretty quickly, so keep your eye out for Carhartt jackets. This is a brand sold on the site Huckberry. I've talked about this quite a bit, but if you look up huckberry.com, you'll quickly see that a lot of those brands retail for a lot, and even though you might not be able to find a lot of sold comps on eBay or on Poshmark, if you find a brand that's sold on this website, in my experience, it always flips very quickly and for a high profit. So I usually go on the website and gauge my pricing based on the website pricing. So the brand of this is called Asterflex, and these were just a pair of men's leather Chelsea boots. Chelsea boots are the style where they've got that flex panel right here, and in my opinion, this style is still very trendy this time of the year. So these ones ended up selling for $80, which I thought was an amazing return for these boots. I think I paid up for these. I think I paid about $20 for these boots. This is a Free People women's sweater. I'm starting to become way more picky with what I pick up in Free People. Try not to go with the basic pieces. I try to look for something substantial. This was a sweater, and it was an alpaca blend, which is why I picked it up. It sold for $27. I am always super surprised at how much vintage sweaters sell for, and how many resellers pass on items like these. So this is a men's cotton sweater, so not even a really great material, but I picked it up because I really liked the unique, I don't know, I guess I would call it embroidery of the lighthouse and the birds, and I strictly picked it up based on style. I usually list them between $40 and $50, and vintage sweaters, when they're unique like this, they just look really good. So I think a lot of sellers pass on them, but if you come across a unique vintage sweater, I'd say it's worth taking a shot at if you're getting it at a decent price, and see how they do for you. So this one sold for $48. I do think brand is somewhat irrelevant. I think it was mainly the content of the item. And last item I wanted to show you was this pair of BKE women's jeans. This was the style Peyton, and they ended up selling for $31. I always show this brand because I feel it is one you might come across. Maybe not often depending on your area, but often enough that it is worth showing so that you don't pass on it. BKE is really well known for their contrast stitching, so they are really easy to find. The men's items do extremely well. The women's, I'm a lot more selective. I always look up, no matter if it's men's or women's, the style name when I'm doing comps before I pick up the item. Peyton, it doesn't have a great sell-through rate, but it has a decent enough sell-through rate that I usually pick it up if I can get it for cheap. So these ones sold for $31.
Alright guys, so that is it for what sold last week. I hope that you guys enjoyed watching. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell if you would like to be notified for next week when this video goes live. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.